It's member-supported Hawaii Public Radio and All Things Considered. I'm Dave Lawrence. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we are in our Atherton Performing Arts Studio, and a blessing today. The most awarded a cappella group in history have just happened to join us, and they are through Sunday at the Blue Note. I'm going to try doing my introductions without any notes because I've been practicing on this, okay? This is the band Take Six, and we are going to start with Joey Kibble, Mark Kibble, Claudie Mack, better known as Claude McKnight, David Thomas, Christian Dentley, and Alvin Chia.
Oh, yeah, you're in.
Oh, he's
Welcome.
Good.
He did it.
Bonus points.
Perfect.
Nickname, too.
You are impressive.
Thank you guys so much for coming down here, and I've been enjoying some videos of you online, but now we get to actually enjoy it right here in our Atherton Performing Arts Studio on All Things Considered. Maybe a song to get warmed up?
Just to get warmed
Thank
up.
you.
I found you just in time. Before you came, a time was running low.
So low.
I was lost. The losing dice were tossed. My bridges all were crossed. No matter go. Now you're here. And now I know just where I'm going. No more now to fear. I found my way. Oh, just in time. You found me just in time. If it changed my lonely life, that lovely day, that lovely day, changed my lonely life, that lovely. Oh, just in time. I found you just in time. Before you came, my time was running low. I was lost, the losing dice were tossed. My bridges all were crossed, nowhere to go. Now you're here, and now I know
Just when
I'm going down over here. I found my way. Oh, just in time. You found me just in time. And it changed my lonely life, that loves me.
Just in you must remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. Fundamental things apply as time goes by.
Shibidoo-wee, shibidoo-wah. Out.
That's Mr. Alvin Chia.
Now you're here, and now I know just I'm going no more time to fear. I found my way. Oh, just in time. You found me just in time. If it changed my lonely life, that love me now. Changed my life. Just in time. Changed my life. The lovely day. Changed my life. Just in time. Changed my life. Oh, changed my life. Just in time. Changed my life.
Lovely day.
Changed my life. Changed my life. Oh, just in time. I'm so glad that you found me and changed my life. Oh, changed my life. That lovely day. Changed my lonely life. That lovely day.
The incredible sounds of Take Six live on All Things Considered in our Atherton Performing Arts Studio. They are through Sunday at the Blue Note, Hawaii, and thank you guys so much. It's really
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome, and they have a great story. Claude, I was reading a little bit about the origins of the group, the Gentlemen Estates Quartet. It's a fascinating tale of how somebody singing in a bathroom can end up bringing a band together. Give us a little bit of the story that brought Mark in.
That's exactly what happened. We were 4 freshmen at the time, and the name of the freshman housing was the Gentlemen's Estates Quartet. Gentlemen's Estates. And so the 4 of us decided to call ourselves the Gentlemen's Estates Quartet.
Makes sense.
We rehearsed in a bathroom because you always sound good in the bathroom, whether you're a good singer or not.
You think you do.
Right. At least you think you do. We did, or at least we thought we did. And then Mark Kibble came in, added a 5th part to what we were doing. And then we sounded really good. He took us out of the bathroom, became the 5th member, introduced us to Mervyn Warren, who became the 6th member. And from there, we knew we had something really different from most of the other groups on campus. And that's the origin of the story.
So before you start the name changes and evolving into into Take 6, and there were a couple other names along the way, the inspiration sonically, because today the group combines many different things. It has gospel, it has R&B, it's a contemporary mix of it all that comes together to kind of create a jazz kind of sound. But when it started, it was, I'm presuming, based around gospel almost entirely?
It was mostly old spirituals. And we were kind of an offshoot, or kind of, a group that listened to a group we grew up listening to called the Breath of Life Quartet. And so we were doing a lot of those songs. It was from the Seventh-day Adventist denomination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the origins came from groups like the Golden Gate Quartet,
okay,
and all of the Jubilee quartets that were back in the 40s, like the Looking Up Jubilee Quartet. Yeah.
And this was a thing you all had in common.
It was. And the school we went to, there were a lot of quartets and trios and choirs that did a lot of this kind of music. So that's what we were doing, but we wanted to do it in a different way. And so when Mark joined, we started having more jazz elements to it.
Okay. So different people brought some of the flavors.
Yes,
is also
absolutely
kind of what you're pointing out. The difference of the parts, and forgive me if this comparison doesn't work for you, but Sweet Honey and the Rock was this group in Boston I used to see all the time, and it's like when I hear the way, because somebody will be doing like a rhythm part, and the leads will go back and forth. I was trying to keep track of it. It was a little hard during that song. You speak to how these arrangements come, because I know when you're let's say you're writing a piece of music, you've got your guitar, you're coming up with a riff, you might be able to show it to someone. This is an entirely different kind of beast to be able to turn into.
That's because our main arranger, Mark Kibble, has an entirely different beast roaming around in his mind. But yeah, it all comes from Mark.
They exaggerate.
So you're figuring out who should do it.
Yeah. It's there are lots of elements that can be covered. You don't have to cover everything. Sometimes when you don't cover it and you imply something, it actually helps a lot. But there's so many things that you can do with your voices. And when we started off, it was mainly just singing on the bass line, lead, and the background quartet, which if you add those up, that makes 6 parts. Right. You can divide that up any way that you want. Here lately in a cappella music, there's a lot of beatboxing that goes along. Mm-hmm. We started off with basically just a snap. We incorporated beatboxing along as because we discovered we could do it, and it became popular too. So why not? In fact, you better do some beatboxing. Right. So add all those things together and you get what we do. But, we just add the element of the extended chords of jazz harmonics.
And just the way you can fill out, the sound is huge. And there's so much going on. It's attracted some pretty big folks to you over the years. And anybody who goes on YouTube can be blown away by some of these collaborations that you've gotten to do. That's a way to look at them. I'll just throw one cat out there who I know is inspirational to a lot of people, Stevie Wonder. And I'm no doubt he's inspirational to you. If maybe you guys could share some stories about how those paths merged.
Well, I can definitely share the first one with Stevie. He was so instrumental in putting us on the map when we first came out with our first project on album and cassette. We had the opportunity of performing him for the first time at Radio City Music Hall. He was doing a week there, and he had us there for 2 of the nights, and brought us out on stage, and and had us do the popular song that we wrote at that time, which was "Spread Love."
He loved that song. He said, I have to do it on my show, and I want to sing with you. So the funny story there is that the first time we went out there and he was singing with us and he didn't really know the lyrics, and we were supposedly behind him, feeding him the lyrics as he's singing. And at one point, I, the smart person that I am, pointed to him to give him the cue to sing. As you might imagine, that might not work. But it was we're so grateful to him, and he's become our big brother in the industry. Really good friend, and we've recorded together many times over, both he for us and us for him. So it's just been an awesome relationship.
Radio City is the first time you do something together?
Yes. Yes.
Man.
Radio City.
That place is a trip, huh? Just the backstage area, those elevators, and the guy who sits in the elevator. What floor? That's a crazy, that's a lot of, is that stressful, or is this, by that point, you're feeling really confident and it's a happy moment? I don't know, is it a mixture?
I think when we first started, everything was happening for us so
Quickly.
fast that we didn't even have time
to be nervous.
Yeah.
We should have been nervous.
As a matter of fact, I remember we were in the dressing room with Stevie, and Eddie Murphy came by. And Stevie tell Eddie to wait. I'm in here with Take 6. And we're like, are you kidding? We want to go see Eddie too. Let him come in. Everything was just it was such an amazing blessing.
That's huge. A lot of cats. That's Ray Charles.
Yeah.
How does that, I mean, so you're hell of a resume here. What brings,
Well, for our Join the Band project, we kind of decided we wanted to have a departure from what we had done the 2 or 3 albums prior. So we were going to bring in a bunch of different artists and instruments and all kinds of things. And we decided that we were going to have Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder on that project. And I know the story has kind of morphed over the years, but I think we had a song originally that we wanted Ray to do with us. And Mark had already arranged it. And Ray basically says, what you want me to do? It's basically already done. So then they went back, and I'll let you tell the rest of the story, Mark, but I know it was an amazing experience, not just for us, but certainly for you, in that you had arranged this thing.
It's funny that you use the word amazing, because Amazing
The
Grace
original
was the song that we originally wanted him to do with us. And he said, you know what, I can't do that song. I can't do that song for whatever reason. And he said, write one. So we wrote one. And the song is called My Friend. And he loved it. And he was like, okay, I got it. I literally took him, I gave him the demo, brought it, we recorded all of our parts and took it to him in his studio. And we watched him operate his studio all by himself. Tapes, the old 2-inch. He was putting it on the reel and everything. And going through his whole studio. And usually he does it with the lights on. He turned the lights on for my benefit. The lights off. He does it with the lights off. And and then when he was finally ready to do it, he told me to leave. He said, I'll call you when I'm done.
he wanted to do it by himself?
He wanted to do it by himself. So he just did his thing and gave us the tracks, and it all worked out really well. But we, while he was alive, we had a really great relationship.
So these things I'm getting from your answer there, Mark, these things kind of lead to friendship. It goes beyond just doing the tracks together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The times that I was able to go to the studio and that we were able to meet with him, he was extremely open to us and welcomed us into his world, which was incredible. So it was just, I'm just so grateful to have been able to experience that, Who does that with Ray Charles?
Right. No, I mean, and to be able to have them as a friend that you can probably learn some things about. I mean, it sounds like you've learned a lot anyway on the professional basis, but just about tenacity and perseverance from both of those guys.
As Mark was saying that, I think music is all about relationships. I can't think of somebody that we've made great music with that we didn't get along with. It just didn't happen. If you're not vibing,
Right.
You're not going to vibe musically. Yeah. So if we've sung with them, we're friends with them.
Like Manhattan, you guys are going to get Manhattan Trance. We just had them. They didn't play, but they were 3/4 of them were in here. Mm-hmm. So that has to be. It reminds me of the EWF Chicago thing that goes on, which is a really cool thing. Not a lot of bands can push it the way that. And this is a similar kind of. How did you stumble upon each other and realize it was a good bit?
We've been stumbling across each other for years and years. We've had managers in common over years, and we now have a common manager. And it was kind of his brainchild, but we've been in the Mutual Admiration Society for years. They're great, and we all have stories that songs that we've loved over the years. And so the tour came together organically, but we kind of had to tweak because they've got a 40-year career.
Right.
We've got almost a 30-year career. It's a lot of tunes to pick from to make sense with each other. So, but we did it, and we had a blast. We did like 46 cities and from coast to coast, and
more coming.
And more coming, yeah.
Do they pick their own jams, or do you look at their catalog at all and say, we'd be into doing something?
They pick it, and Claude says, no, you can't do that one.
Yeah. And then Alan says, no, we can't do that.
No, I mean, what he said is very true. There's a lot of songs that we had to pick from.
Right.
And you try to pick amongst what you think are the best songs for the audience, and also songs that you love to sing. So there's a balance that has to happen. And then you have to figure out how do you put 16 of those together. And so it's kind of an ongoing, or has been an ongoing process where you want to switch things out here or there. And from night to night, they would switch a few things out. And we did the same thing every once in a while. But it took a while to gel, but once it did, I mean, it was magic every night.
It's funny you say that. It's a good, before I get you to hopefully perform again for us, when you're putting your sets together for this run at the Blue Note, and you're talking about the set list, is that something that moves around night to night? And not every band needs to be the Grateful Dead and move their set massively. Sometimes an ensemble has a particular group of songs, and there's a way to lay them out, and it just works really well. How's it work for you?
Generally, we have a skeleton of what we want it to be or what it probably needs to be. And then, because you're doing 2 shows a night,
right?
Just to kind of keep yourself honest, to keep yourself, where you want to be and maybe even to get a little bit of new blood going, you may switch out a song here or there.
Right.
Yeah. So from night to night, we may switch out a song here or there, or reach back and find something from 25 years ago and say, hey, we're going to do this right now. So sometimes that's an audible that happens on the fly.
Right.
And it works. It really does work.
Well, that keeps it. And like David just said, I mean, I sometimes, when I was a kid, I'd always want to see a band more than once in a row. So I'd maybe travel from Philly to D.C. or to New York to go see them because I wanted to see how much was a routine and how much was spontaneity. And you said about getting engaged. Sometimes when you'd see a band and they're doing the same carbon copy show, maybe even saying the same rap in between, you go, how engaged? At some point, it doesn't seem very engaging. Certainly isn't as a fan.
Yeah, no, for real. And for us, that is something that we need to be engaged because we really love to interact with our audiences. And, even if you're lucky, we might even do something that we're working on for the next project. So
that's exciting. Well, people are going to be in store for a lot of music and a very spiritual take on music, too. Would you guys like to do one more jam while you're here on All Things Considered? How's the room sound, by the way? Nice sound?
Sounds great.
Very polite audience, too.
Yeah, you can't argue with this crowd, can you?
They're great.
So you know what we're going to do? We're going to call it an audible because we had a song that we were going to do earlier, but now, since we talked about Ray Charles, we're going to do the song "My Friend" that we did with Ray.
I love it. It's All Things Considered, Atherton Performing Arts Studio, and take 6.
2, 3.
It doesn't matter where you say you've been. It doesn't matter what you do. Oh, no. 'Cause the same color blood that's running through my veins is the color that sustains another one. I know that you might have had a hard time, yeah. And maybe you thought of giving in, but don't ever give in. 'Cause no matter where you stand, it's not too much to lend my hand. You're my neighbor, you're my brother, you're my friend, you're my friend, yeah. You're my friend, yes you are. Now I know that you might get a lonely sometimes, yeah. You know every time that road Oh, yes, I have. And with my so-called friends, we're taking each other in. I couldn't even make it through the door. So why don't you come on in? Sit on down. Take a load off your mind. And wear the shoes that you're in. And wear size 10. So no matter where you stand, it's not too much to lend my hand. You're my neighbor. You're my brother. You are my shown up, my friend. You're my friend, yeah. I'm talking about a brother. My friend, yes you are. I'll tell you what I'm trying to do, yo. I'm throwing out, trying to throw out, trying to spread, just trying to spread some sunshine. Got a whole lot of love for mankind. So why don't you call me sometime and I'll be by your side? Hey, hold on a minute. Make sure you don't forget. Whoa, when you call me, just say, said I'll be there when you call me. No matter where you stand, it's not too much to lend my hand now. You're my neighbor, you're my brother. Oh, yes, you are my friend. Up a friend, you're my friend. You're my friend. Say, oh, my friend, and you're my friend, and you're my brother, and you're my sister. Whoa, throwing out the lifeline, yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, I'm trying to spread some sunshine. My friend, my brother. All you do is call and I will be there in a flash. See, all you do is call and I will be there in a flash. I'm gonna say that thing again. All you do is call and I will be there in a flash. I will be there for you. Never find a better friend. Hey, you may search the world over, but you'll never find a better friend than me. Hey, yeah. Hey, and you can depend on me. Hey, you'll never find a better friend than me. Hey, you'll never find a better friend. You'll never find my friend.
It's take 6. All things considered, our Atherton Performing Arts Studio. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's sounding great there through Sunday at the Blue Note. And it is Alvin Chia,
Yes.
Christian Dentley, David Thomas, Claude McKnight, and Mark and Joey Kibble.
Right.
Thank you guys.
So good. Ding, ding. Good.
Thank you very much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you being on the show.
Hi, I'm Claude McKnight, and
We are Take 6. And we couldn't find a better place to be than right here with our good friend Dave Lawrence.
It's All Things Considered, and we're looking for you to join our nonprofit radio station right now.
Please make a pledge to Hawaii Public Radio right now.
Here's someone to tell you how, and thanks for giving HPR a helping hand.
Da 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 da.